I've been using Higgsfield to create content for a while now.
Okay. Yeah, you run.
And what really surprises me is that there are 6 game-changing features that almost nobody actually uses. And once they're part of your workflow, your outputs will surpass all AI videos out there, and they will feel truly cinematic. So in this video, I'll show you how to get the most out of all 6, right up to the one that plans and builds an entire cinematic video on its own. In case you didn't know, Higgsfield is an all-in-one platform that gives you access to everything you need for AI content creation in one place. If you want to follow along and learn these settings as we go, I've left a link for it in the description below. The first feature solves a very big problem when it comes to AI generations, and that is consistency. It's called elements, and it ensures that your characters or locations will remain the same between multiple generations so that your outputs don't fall apart. The idea is you build an asset once, save it, and from then on, you pull it into any prompt by typing an @ tag instead of re-uploading the same reference images every time and hoping it still matches. Once you log into Higgsfield, you'll notice that everything is organized at the top navigation bar. To make our elements, first we need a starting image. So I'll click on Image and set the model to GPT Image 2 because it's currently one of the best models when it comes to hyper-realism. The first asset that I want is a character, specifically a character sheet with 3 panels, a full body front, a full body back, and a tight close-up on the face. The reason I do all 3 angles is that it gives the model everything it needs to keep this character looking identical no matter how I use them later. I'll set the quality to high, the resolution to 4K, and aspect ratio 16:9. Then I'll paste in the prompt for my first character, Kaya, a near-future field explorer with cropped silver hair. And the prompt specifies that the exact same face and outfit have to show up in all 3 panels. You can find this exact prompt along with the full workflow in the description completely for free, so you can paste it straight in and follow along in real time. So I'll generate and let it run. And this is Kaya. She looks exactly as I described her, and she looks consistent from all angles. Then the important part is to actually save her as an element. So I'll save her character sheet, set the category to character, and name it Kaya. And from then on, I just type at Kaya in a prompt, and Higgsfield pulls that exact character back in. Now I'll build the other 3 characters the same way, one at a time, with the same settings as before, so the only thing that I'm changing is the prompt. First is Soul, so I'll generate with this. Soul is a matte white android with glowing blue seams, and he looks perfectly consistent across all 3 panels. So this works on way more than just realistic humans. Next is Rhea. She's a retro adventurer, and she looks like she belongs in a completely different era from the first 2. Her unique vintage style is my favorite so far. And the last character is Milo. He's a grounded everyday creator, and honestly, this is the hardest type to keep consistent because any tiny change in a real human face is instantly obvious. But he comes out as the same person every single time, which is exactly what you need when a real person has to be on camera. This same process works for locations too. The only difference is I keep them completely empty with no people in them, because the characters get dropped in later. So I'll make one location to match each character, and they all come out looking completely different. Kaya gets a misty alien canyon full of teal rock and glowing cyan moss. This looks very cinematic and matches her colors. Soul gets the opposite, a sleek neon lab that's all cold blue to match the android aesthetic. Rhea's is a warm amber spaceport hangar. It has that same 70s feeling from her jacket. And for Milo, I made a realistic and cozy creator studio, which looks like the kind of room a real YouTuber films in. Matching each location to its character now means that when I combine them later, the person in the background already look like they belong in the same shot. So I'll save each one as an element the same way, but now I'll set the category to locations. And after that, these are ready to be used in anything you want to make. Elements are crucial for AI creation, and yet most people skip them. But even so, they're still only the foundation for everything we're about to do next. So now that my characters and locations are all saved, I can start turning them into actual shots. This next feature is called Cinema Studio, which most people know as Higgsfield's unique tool for cinematic outputs. And while that is true, the amount of control it gives you to actually direct your scenes is what goes unnoticed. It has 2 modes, image and video. I'll start in image mode where there's a model called cinematic cameras that takes a saved character and a saved location and composes them into one cinematic image. The thing that makes this different is that you don't describe the camera in your prompt at all. You set the actual camera, lens, focal length, and aperture yourself in a side panel, and the prompt only describes what's happening in the scene. And that's what makes them look properly filmed, because you're setting real camera settings the way a cinematographer would instead of just asking for something cinematic and hoping. So for my first shot, I'll tag Kaya as the character. For the camera, I'll go with a grand format 70mm film look on a classic anamorphic lens at 35mm and f4, and each of those settings changes the shot in its own way. The 70mm film gives it that big, high detail scale. The anamorphic lens and 35mm focal length set the wide, letterboxed framing you see in real movies, and the f4 aperture keeps nearly the whole scene in focus. So the canyon and the creature behind her stay sharp too, not just Kaya. The rest are still 4K and 16:9, which gives it a proper big screen feel. Then, in the prompt, I tag the location I just saved in Elements, followed by a description of the scene. Kaya braced on a foggy canyon ledge with a creature lunging out at her, and this instantly looks like a frame from a sci-fi movie. Kaya matches her character sheet exactly, and she's standing right inside the canyon I built, so the character and location finally come together as one image. Now I'll do the other three the same way, each character dropped into their own location, and the main thing I'll change every time is the camera settings, because they give the final output a completely different feel. For Saul, I switched to a modular 8K digital camera with a clinical sharp prime lens, and I made him catch a drone inside his lab. Both elements come together nicely since they were made to match. The 8K digital camera and sharp prime give it a hard premium sharpness with no film grain at all, which suits this whole environment. Rhea gets a classic 16mm film stock with a vintage prime, and I put her mid-fight, flipping a raider in her hangar. The film grain alone instantly makes it feel like it was shot in the 70s. And for Milo, I use a full-frame scene digital camera with a warm cinema prime at 50mm and f1.4, which is a really wide aperture, so the background behind him goes soft and out of focus while he stays sharp. This way, he just looks like an actual creator talking to the camera. So now I've got 4 completely different cinematic images, all built from the same saved characters and locations. And honestly, the camera settings made each one feel unique. These give you so much more control than a standard prompt ever could. But as good as these look, they're still images, and Cinema Studio has a whole other mode that allows you to direct just as much, if not more. So I'll switch Cinema Studio over to video mode so that we can start animating the images we made. I'll set the model to Cinema Studio 3.5, and the setup is a lot like the image side. But instead of just camera settings, I can also set the genre and the style, which affect how your final video will come out. So this time, the prompt is where I'll write the actual scene, the timing of every moment, and any dialogue I want. That timing is the part that makes this feel properly directed, because instead of just hoping the motion turns out right, I'm telling it exactly what happens at each second. I'll animate 2 of my images here, and I'm picking Kaya and Milo on purpose because they show the 2 extremes of what this mode can do: a full action scene and a natural talking head. So I'll start with Kaya. I'll set the genre to action so the model animates it as a proper action movie scene. Switch to a clean digital camera so the motion stays smooth, and keep the same anamorphic lens at 35mm with the aperture wide open at f4. Then in the style panel, I'll go manual and set a desaturated teal, charcoal, and cyan palette with a cold dawn light through the fog so the whole shot stays in her exact colors. I also get to set the camera movement myself, so I'll add handheld grit, a whip follow on her strikes, a split second of slow motion on the hardest moment, and a slow push in at the end, which is the kind of thing an editor would normally add by hand. I'll set it to 15 seconds, 1080p 16:9 with the sound on. Then in the prompt, I'll specify the timing of each moment and add the dialogue. Then I'll generate and let it run.
Okay. Yeah, you run.
and this comes out looking like a real action scene. The slow motion didn't really come through, but everything is coherent enough where it shouldn't matter. And everything stays consistent the whole way through, even when there's intense movement, which is what usually makes an AI tool struggle. Now for the complete opposite, I'll animate Milo. This time I'll set the genre to general instead of action, keep the camera clean digital, switch the lens to warm halation at 50mm and f1.4, and switch the aspect ratio to 9:16 so it's vertical for shorts. In the style panel, I'll keep it warm and cozy with a soft, natural key light, and set the camera movement to minimal because a talking head doesn't need all that motion. It just needs to hold steady and feel natural. I'll keep it 15 seconds with the sound on, same as before, and generate.
Saving money won't make you rich. There, I said it. You could save every dollar for 40 years and inflation still eats it alive. The rich don't save, they park money where it grows. Start there.
And he comes out looking and sounding like a real creator filming a short. His lips match the words, and the delivery feels natural, and it's the same exact character from the very first sheet I made, now talking on camera. So from one tool, I've now got two completely different videos, a choreographed action scene and a natural talking head, both animated straight from those two images with the dialogue and audio already generated. The only problem is that video mode only goes up to 1080p, and for something meant to look this cinematic and professional, that isn't quite enough. So to fix that, I'll take both of my finished videos and push them all the way up to 4K. I'll hover over the video tab and go into video upscale, load in the Kaya video first, and set the model to Topaz video. This model not only upscales your outputs, but it adds more details for an overall better result without changing your actual video. Then I'll set the scale to 4K, turn enhancement on, leave the parameters on auto, and let it run.
Okay.
And that jump in quality matters more than it sounds, because if you intend to use these for professional use, 1080p can look fine on a phone, but for big screens, 4K quality is a must. And to actually show the difference, I'll put the 1080p and the 4K version of the Kaya shot side by side. The 4K one is clearly sharper. There's way more detail in her suit and the environment, and it finally looks like something you'd hand to a client instead of a rough draft. Then I'll run the Milo video through the exact same thing, Topaz video at 4K with enhancement on, and it comes out just as sharp.
You could save every dollar for 40 years and inflation still eats it alive. The rich don't save, they park money where it grows.
It looks like an actual short you'd see on social media. So now both videos are in 4K quality and are ready to be used professionally. Everything I've done up to this point has been manually, going through the tools one at a time. But Higgsfield has a unique feature that allows you to run the whole platform from, and most people underutilize it. That feature is the Supercomputer, and honestly, almost nobody uses it to its full potential. It's an AI agent that can run the entire Higgsfield platform from a single chat. So instead of clicking into each tool and setting it up myself, the way I've done for the last 4 features, I just talk to it with simple terms, and it goes and uses all those tools for me. It runs on Claude Fable 5, and to really show what it can do, I'll have it build a full cinematic TV ad from scratch. So I start by giving it one brief. I'll ask it for a 15-second cinematic ad for a made-up luxury watch brand called Noctis, and I'll tell it to begin with the product itself, a minimalist watch with no logo or numbers anywhere, with a midnight blue dial, a silver case, and a dark strap. And it actually pushes back a little, telling me a textless piece is all about light and reflection. So it gets the product exactly right first before anything moves. It generates the Noctis watch, then saves it as an element. So the watch stays identical in every single frame. This looks really good, the realism is on point, and it has that luxurious aesthetic that will attract a lot of viewers. From there, I'll just keep talking to it and ask it to write a 15-second script, and it gives me a voiceover-led ad, broken into 4 timed moments. Then I'll ask it to make a storyboard for those moments, all built using the watch element, so that I can see how everything looks before I spend credits on animating it. And we get this storyboard with all 4 scenes, and it already feels premium. The last step is to animate the whole thing into the finished ad, 16:9, 15 seconds with the voiceover included, and it hands back a complete finished TV ad.
Some things are made to outlast the moment. Precision you wear, presence you keep.
The 4 frames are animated into one continuous shot, the voiceover reads in a deep cinematic voice, and it ends on the Noctis card. I really like how the lighting interacts with each scene, highlighting the watch and making everything a lot more cinematic. This is ready to be used, and the whole thing was made in one single tool in just a few minutes. With Supercomputer, you can create any type of content you want in the fraction of the time it would normally take you. But even that needed me to guide it through every step. This last feature, though, barely needs me at all to create content. That last feature is the explainer, which can create those highly engaging AI explainer videos, and the best part is that it handles almost everything on its own. You just give it a single topic, and it writes the script, narrates it out loud, and animates the whole thing into a finished explainer by itself. So I'll click on explainer at the top, and in the box, I'll just type my topic, explain the process of human digestion. I'll set it to 30 seconds and 16:9, set the style to pixel art, then choose a voice from the preset library. I'm going with Cillian because it sounds calm and engaging, which is perfect for a video like this. And a few seconds later, I've got a finished explainer narrated in that voice and animated in pixel art, all from that one line of text.
Digestion begins the moment you take a bite. Your teeth crush the food, while saliva releases enzymes that start breaking down starches into simple sugars. The chewed food slides down your esophagus into the stomach, where powerful acids and churning muscles transform it into a thick paste called chyme. Inside the small intestine, tiny finger-like villi absorb 90% of nutrients into your bloodstream. The large intestine reclaims water, and what remains exits.
This is perfect for an educational channel because you can turn any topic into a finished video without writing or recording anything yourself. And with this speed, you can pump these out at scale. I'll also do a second one to show the range. This time, my topic is human respiration, and instead of pixel art, I'll switch to the whiteboard doodle style. But the real difference is the voice, because instead of a preset, I'll use my own. To do that, I'll upload about 3 minutes of clean audio of myself into the voice trainer, let it train, and then pick my voice for the explainer. That way the whole thing gets narrated in my actual voice, so it sounds like me and matches everything else on my channel. Every breath you take pulls air deep into your lungs, where 300 million tiny air sacs called alveoli are waiting. Inside each alveolus, oxygen slips through a membrane thinner than a soap bubble and locks onto hemoglobin in your red blood cell. That oxygen fuels every cell in your body, while carbon dioxide, the waste, travels back to your lungs and leaves when you exhale. And it comes out as a whiteboard doodle explainer narrated in my own voice on a completely different topic and style than the first, all from the same simple setup. So from just a topic and a couple of clicks, I get a finished narrated explainer in whatever style and voice I want, and I barely had to do anything to make it. These features not only enhance your outputs, but they also allow you to make content a lot faster, boosting your productivity and helping you create at scale. So if you want to use these today and create your own cinematic outputs, use the link in the description to sign up to Higgsfield. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.